Did you hear that noise? Did you hear that? In America, every 26 seconds, there's a home invasion. You ever been asleep and you hear something go bump in the middle of the night downstairs and you're not really sure what it is? That could potentially be someone invading your home, potentially trying to harm you or steal your valuables. I'm Ryan Smith, and today we're going to talk about what you need to do to protect your family and some considerations you can use in the event of a home invasion. This is Tribal Warfare Group, and all that's coming up on the next segment. Stay tuned. Hey, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about what to do in the event of a home invasion and some considerations that you might want to add into your night security routine. I've been a police officer for 20 years now, and I've responded to these calls, and I can tell you they don't always go the way that you would want them to go. I've seen calls where the owner of the house defends themselves by using self-defense. And I've seen calls where not so fortunate and the owner of the house was injured and sometimes fatally injured. Some considerations that you might want to think about is your weapon placement and what you would use in the event of someone coming into your house. But before we talk about weapons, I want to talk about some real quick, simple things you can do to give yourself more time if someone's in your home. The first thing is closing your door. Come in. So first thing is closing your door. Now, at my house, I don't have any young children and my kids are grown. So considering sleeping in your home with your door closed. Now, if you have the ability to lock your door, that would be even better because that just gives you more time to get your thoughts together. Because in the middle of the night, you're going to be waking up and you're going to be delirious and not coherent for a few minutes until you can figure out what's going on. So by sleeping with your door closed, not only for if there's a fire downstairs, but just a consideration that gives you more time to separate yourself and an intruder. So if my door is locked and I hear somebody banging, knocking on my door or trying to jam my door, I'm going to be startled to that. Now I have a teenager that lives with me. This is another thing. If you have kids that live at home or teens, know their schedule, know when they should be home. Know when your houses should be locked up. When I was growing up, I had to be home by a certain time. My mom locked the door, and if I wasn't home that time, I wasn't getting in. So know your kids' routines and know if that is maybe them or if that is a potential intruder. Now, in my home, everybody uses their cell phones. If it was my son, he would probably call on his cell phone, right? And he also sleeps with his door closed. But back to the video. If I hear this in the middle of the night, that gives me time to alert myself, wake up, grab my gun, and start thinking what's going on, right? All right, it's opened up. So if there was a real home invasion and there was someone in my home, and let's just say right now the threat is still downstairs, what I'm going to do first is my door's closed. If my wife's home, I'm going to wake my wife up. And she also has a gun that she carries on her nightstand as well. Husbands, make sure your wives know how to use weapons. Make sure your children of age know how to use weapons in this case, because you guys both have firearms, it makes it easier. But what I'm going to do in this situation right here, if I hear the threat that's still downstairs and I don't know what it quite is, I'm going to wake my wife up, tell her to be quiet. I'm going to get her out of bed and I'm going to come to the door first with a weapon. I'm going to bring a weapon up here first. All right. So I'm going to bring the door open the door open. I'm going to make sure there's nothing there. If there's something there, obviously you have to address it, but there's nothing there. Then I'm going to move towards the steps, right? And I'm going to stop right here. I'm going to be quiet at this point, right? I'm going to go to my son's door. We're always going to call him a cell phone. I'm going to put her in my son's room with a firearm, right? Come on back up. So at that point right there, and this has to happen fast, right? And I know it's not going to, in a perfect world, this is not going to happen the way I'm saying it, but these are considerations. Now, your next step. Whether you're grabbing a pistol or a rifle. Now, this is YouTube and we live in a confirming world, so this is an empty firearm. So safety check, look away, check the inside of the chambers, look the mag well, nothing's there. We have an empty firearm. Okay, so what I'm gonna do first, I'm grabbing my pistol or rifle. These, I'm telling you, this is what you have to do, because if you don't get the police on the phone, and if something happens when they get there, I've seen cases where it can be your word against the person breaking in your house. As crazy as that sounds. So here's the verbiage. And I know that you're probably not going to say it this way because you're going to be scared, but here's some considerations. I'm dialing 911, right? When 911 answers the phone, the only thing I'm saying is 1764 Sycamore Street. There's someone in my home, and I'm not going to be yelling this. 1764 Sycamore Street. There's someone in my home. Can you please send the police? The dispatcher, because they're trained, they're going to want to ask you a series of questions. What does the intruder look like? How many is there? Is there weapons involved? You don't have time to give all that information. So you give her the address and tell her, please send the police. And then you also tell her, I do have a firearm in case I have to protect myself. Try to work on that verbiage. Practice that, right? She's still going to be asking you questions, but you don't have time to answer those. So this is what I want you to do. Now, you have to protect your home. I'm going to keep my phone. If I have a nightstand here or wherever, I'm going to drop the phone here, right? Now, I'm going to come right here to there's this hallway. All right, now I'm going to come right here and I'm going to stand right behind this wall right here. I'm not going to stand in this fatal funnel, and we'll address that later, or to open, where I'm open. I'm going to stand behind here so that I can look over but still have some cover, right? Now, dispatch is still going to be on the phone. That is important because these calls are recorded and it goes into a log. And while they're on the phone, if things progress, they can tell the units, step it up, go hot, or whatever the case may be. So I'm going to stand right here. Now, it's going to be dark. Your nerves are going to be going crazy. Your hands are going to be shaking. If you have the lights off, turn them on. Turn the lights on, right? Why you turn the lights on? Because if there's a threat, I want to be able to positively identify what I'm shooting, right? So if there is a threat here, I'm going to turn the lights on. One, that's going to trigger the person, it should, that there is someone home, right? Then I'm going to get right here and I'm going to start yelling so dispatch can hear. Get out of my house! Get out of my house! I have a gun! If you try to come up these steps, I will defend myself. Something like that. You may use profanity. I can't tell you what to use. I'm just telling you what I've seen in my experience. Get out of my house! If you try to come up these steps, I will shoot you. Something like that, right? So that tells dispatch, one, there is someone in your house and you are engaged in a situation, right? Now, I have the tactical advantage right here because I'm in an elevated position and I now can control this area. If someone comes up the steps and I start sending it down range or down the steps, they're going to think twice. One, if I don't shoot them, they're going to think twice about trying to come up these steps, right? And no one is that, well, to the back. That might not be true. But I have an elevated position. I can stand right here. I can drop down to one knee. I can reach over and I can do business right here. I don't have to expose myself. I'm off about a handfoot, but about an arm length from the wall. And I'm just holding my gun right here. And I'm just going to hold it right here. I'm not going downstairs because that's stupid. And we'll talk about that in the next segment. I'm just going to stand right here and protect my home until the police get here. Now, what if you have to go downstairs, right? I can tell you right now, after 10 plus years of more and doing CQB on a professional level and as a police officer, I can tell you that going downstairs is stupid. I don't care who you are. Going downstairs is stupid. You don't know the motivation of the person that's in your home. You don't know how many people are in the home, and you don't know their skill set, their training, and if they have any weapons. But let's just say that you have to go downstairs. Maybe you have a child that's downstairs, or maybe you have a first floor bedroom and you have to get downstairs. We're going to talk about how would you get downstairs with a rifle or with a pistol. That's all coming up in the next segment. Stay tuned. All right, welcome back. The last part of this video. So now we talked about if you have to go downstairs. Now, again, I'm going to preface that by saying you should never go downstairs in a home invasion situation. Again, only because you don't know the amount of intruders, what they have, their skill level, their motivation. You just don't know. So, but in this consideration, in this scenario, we're talking about if you have maybe a child that's on the couch, or you have a first floor bedroom and you have to get someone down there. So we're going to try to give you a few considerations on what you properly would do, maybe do. Okay, so come over here real quick. I'll just show you how my nightstand is typically set up. I usually have a pistol, an extra mag, and a flashlight, which is important. And I have a rifle standing right here. So we're going to use a rifle for this portion right here. Now, I say that, and you'll have people in the comments say, well, you should never use a rifle for home defense. Well, that's stupid. You know, I guess the combat is, well, where the bullet goes through the walls and stuff like that, which there's ammo for that. But we're talking about protecting your family, not adhering to all the laws. We're talking about defending your family. As police officers, we say, I'm going to make it home at night. Your motto, your mantra should be, my family will survive the night. So, with that being said, we are going to use a rifle. Now, a couple of considerations with rifles. If you can afford it, because remember, in this page, we're real budget friendly. If you can afford it, I would definitely get a suppressor on your rifle. There are a lot of considerations out there on the market that are very, very affordable for just regular people. And I will have a full video on some suppressors that I feel are really budget friendly. Because I don't want to stand here with a bunch of expensive gear and tell you this is what you need to get when it might not be what's in your budget. But if you're going to go have a rifle as a home defense, I would definitely consider getting a suppressor on it, because if you shoot a rifle indoors, especially if it's like a pistol, a smaller version, maybe 11 or 12, pistol, or even an SBR, it's going to be loud. But like I said, we're talking about defending our family, and a rifle does give you a lot of different advantages over a pistol. However, I would also say you need to get training on how to properly use a rifle, right? So today we're just going to talk about a couple of considerations and how to move with the rifle, and then we're going to wrap it up with giving you a little bit of discussion. All right, so stand by. All right, so we're going to go ahead and clear, make sure the rifle's clear. There's no magazine in it. There's nothing in the chamber, so we do have a clear rifle. All right, so we left off the last part of the segment, or the last segment, talking about I had 911 on the phone, and I was standing at the top of the steps, and I was pretty much just holding until the police got here, right? So let's go back to that part of the video. We still have 911 on hold. Like I said, 911 is going to stay on the phone the entire time, even if you're not talking to them, right? So at this point right now, if I have to go down the steps, I'm going to pick the phone up, put it in my pocket, so 911 can still hear everything I'm doing, right? So let's go to the first couple of steps, all right? So, and also get yourself a sling. But let's start, see what we can do. So if I'm going to use this rifle in a CQB situation in my home, here's a few things we're going to do. All right, so go ahead and step out. So right now, I decided I have to go down the steps, right? So now, instead of having the pistol, I have the rifle. So the last time we stopped off, I was here behind cover and concealment, just waiting for the police. But now I'm like, God, my daughter's on the couch. So now I have to go downstairs, all right? So when I have my rifle, you see I have it slung around here. I'm going to take my arm through and put it what I call like a collar, all right? Because it allows me to move the rifle a lot easier, right? So now I'm coming down the steps. So you don't want to stay here in this open area, so you want to move. So I'm coming down the steps. My rifle is pointed at on the bottom of the steps. And now if anything presents itself, then I'll have to deal with it. You want to make sure your safety's on. Your thumb, if you're right-handed, your thumb should be right here ready on the safety, all right? So now I get to the bottom of my steps. I can see my front door. I can see a door here. But to the right, there is a unknown area. I don't know what that is, all right? So how do I address that? So I come down and I start peeking over, right? I start peeking over. I start peeking over more or prying over. Now I see there's nothing there, all right? So now as I step down, I put my rifle back in the fight and put it up in case something presents itself. Now, a couple of CQB fundamentals. When I say fatal funnel, this is a fatal funnel standing right here in this open area, right? So you don't want to do that. So I'm going to move to the next cover. But I have a closed door. You never want to stand in front of a closed door, but I don't have time to address this closed door. If it's closed, I'm going to leave it closed because my goal is to get to the couch. Step back. So now I'm here, right? So I got a open area to the right, and I got a little bit of an open area over here to my left. So I want to address this one first. I'm going to peek over, step over, and look. I don't see anything there. So now I'm like, okay, now I can move myself back to the kitchen, which is my next point of area. I see my daughter on the couch. So now I'm going to step in right here, but I'm not going to stand here. I'm not going to stand here. I'm going to step right here. I'm going to stop. Now, I see my daughter on the couch, and I know I need to check into the kitchen to see what's in the kitchen to make sure everything's okay. My inside leg, guys, look at my footwork. My inside leg is going to be right here. As I step in, I'm going to bring the rifle up right here, collapse it, step in, and snap my rifle right back out, right? Now I see there's nothing in here. I get Emily off the couch. We're moving backwards, we're moving backwards, we're moving backwards. I'm still holding control, I'm here holding cover. I got her, we're going back up the steps. We're going right back up the steps. We're bypassing these closed doors. We're going right back up the steps. And now we're going right back to our elevated area, right? So let's break that down one more time, all right? So coming down the steps, you don't want to just walk right out and step out there because there could be somebody right here. So I would suggest coming here, pie over just a little bit, and you want to bring the rifle in, tuck it to your chest, pie over, come down, and then look, and then move to the next point of cover right there. So I'm going to move to cover right here. So if something happens, I can get there. So again, these are just some considerations that you can use if you have to go downstairs. Again, like I said, I don't care how much training you have. I would definitely not go downstairs unless you have to. Again, you don't know what the person's skill set downstairs is. You don't know how many intruders there is. And like I said, if you are introducing this weapon into a home invasion and you're not properly trained on it, it can be used against you. So I would definitely tell you to get some training. And when it comes to maybe a rifle you want to use for home defense, I want to talk about budget friendly. So a couple of rifles I would recommend was Smith & Wesson M&P Sport, or the, I believe it is the Springfield Saint. Those are really good budget friendly rifles. I'm going to put the MSRP up on the screen right here for both those rifles. But like I said, when it comes to protecting your family, you have to do it at all costs. Like I said, these are just some small considerations that I wanted to share with you guys today and what to do in the event of an emergency. Now, wrapping it all up, dispatch is still on the phone. Here's the most important part that I'm going to leave you with. Now, once you get back upstairs to your stronghold, which is the top level of the steps, which gives you an elevated area, you want to stand behind cover and just plant yourself there until the police get there. When the police get there, this is very important. You do not want to have your weapon out or exposed, because the police, they don't know who you are. They don't know what the situation is. So they're coming in looking for a home intruder. So once the police come, you want to make sure your weapon is nowhere pointed in their direction. All right. I would still be behind cover, and I want to visually see it's a uniformed cop. And once the cop gets here, I'm going to say, hey, we're right here. We're right here. He's going to have you come down to him. Okay. So at that point, you definitely want to put your weapon down where he doesn't see it. And then I would tell him, I would say, hey, I got a gun up here and my family's up here. He's going to call you down to him. Make sure your hands are up. Make sure that you don't have anything in your hands that could be preceded as a weapon, because again, this is a very, very traumatic situation. The police officers are there, and first they have to assess the scene. So everybody is considered a suspect until they can determine who is the good guy, who's the bad guy. So I'd say, hey, I'm armed. My gun's here. My family's up here. He's going to have you call everybody out. He may have you lift your shirt up and turn it all the way around just to see that you don't have any weapons on your body. But he's going to come to you. Let him give you the instructions. Okay. Don't try to show him your gun and bring your gun down him. That would not be smart. Okay. Remember, stay behind cover until the police get here. Again, I want to preface this. Do not, if you have no choice to, unless you don't have a choice, come downstairs. If you have everybody upstairs and you have the advantage of being at an elevated position, I would stay there and hunker down at top of the stairs until the police gets here. Like again, I said, like, it's just, you have to take your ego out of it. Just because you have a weapon doesn't mean that you can properly use it against several intruders or even one. Okay, so if you have to, I understand. But I'm not talking to like first responders or guys that are in the military that have a lot of time learning how to do building clearing. I'm talking just to the regular resident that wants to protect their family. I'm talking to you, dads, moms, that just wants to protect their family. And I would definitely recommend that you find the nearest training facility and get some training on basic applications of rifle and pistol. That would definitely be my consideration. Now, one last thing. I know you'll have people in the comments saying, well, don't use a rifle because you got ammo. They'll go through the walls. No, I mentioned that fire. I would definitely also recommend getting frangible rounds. Some gun ranges won't sell it to you because you're not law enforcement, and there's some that will. And a fragile round is, once it hits, it breaks some contact. Okay, it doesn't go keep going through the walls. So now a couple of things I want to just drop on you real quick. When it comes to protecting your family, there is nothing that you should limit yourself to. I don't care if it's a fork, a pencil, a knife, whatever you have to do to make sure your family protects them. You protect your family and they make it through the night. I don't care what you have to do. Bite, punch, beat somebody to death, stab them to death, shoot them to death. I don't care. Because at the end of the day, your TV can be replaced, your iPod can be replaced, your laptop can be replaced, but your family members can't. So I want to leave you with that. I'm Ryan Smith from this Tribal Warfare Group, and I want to thank you for stopping by and look forward to the next video coming out. We'll see you soon.